Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
It's fake. It's fake. What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood.
What if I just age regularly?
With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson. What's stopping you from looking like Jennifer Aniston?
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas so you don't have to.
I'm all about a good moisturizer, people, but you're not one moisturizer away from having 7 facelifts. That look. Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. Today, we're talking about how not to care about aging gracefully. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this conversation. I believe I am. There may be some crying, but let's see.
I'm so ready. I am here with the research this week, but we also have an amazing mailbag this week. This is an email from Dana, who is a longtime listener. She says, "Hi, Amy and Margaret. I recently did a very hard thing and moved my family across an ocean to a different country for my spouse's job. In leading up to our move, when people asked me how I was feeling, I tended to channel Margaret and respond, 'This is water.' It was my shorthand to say, this is the life that I was given or chose, and I was handling it as best I could. Now that we're established in our new country, I find that Amy is the voice in my head saying, who knows what is good and what is bad. As much as I wish I could have reassurances that I'm providing a great life for my kids, none of us will know until we're on the front porch in rocking chairs. I repeat these words to myself to stay sane in the bombardment of decision-making that is motherhood. Thanks for the laughs and the words of wisdom."
Thanks, Dana. Love that. I mean, I know many people who have moved overseas with their kids, mostly good, I think, and are having a great experience of it. But it's hard enough already when you're doing it in familiar circumstances. So love this. Thanks so much for the email. We love hearing from you. If you got some thoughts on the podcast, shoot us an email. That is nice. I already know my forehead is big. You do not need to tell me that by email, guys. Thank you.
Don't tell me I'm not aging gracefully.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
This episode, this was my idea, and it came to a head for me with the picture. Demi Moore attended the Chanel fashion show with a little dog on her lap, looking insane, looking maybe like 28 years old. Like, she looks robotic. She does look good, I think. And she was the toast of the nation. Look at Demi Moore. This is aging gracefully. What's stopping you? And I was like, is this
How long do
aging
you have? I mean, I got
gracefully?
a lot on what's stopping me.
Right.
I would say the number one quality that I think of when I see these pictures of her is insane thinness. I think it's probably pretty much your business to weigh what you weigh. But when we see a person who appears to be 20 to 40 pounds under the average weight for a person of their size, and that is lauded as amazing and toast of the townness. I had a friend when I was living in LA where basically every dialogue is like, you look great. It's how everyone greets each other. And she had a very severe autoimmune disease. And every time we went out, people would be like, you look amazing. The idea that like the closer she got to being invisibly thin, the more celebrated she was deranged.
we are in this moment too where we've taken the body positivity, right? All bodies are fine and we shouldn't comment on them, to seeing the 2 stars of a movie that's based on the events in The Wizard of Oz, looking skeletal. And you're not allowed to say that. There's people saying they look amazing. And then the people were like, wait a minute, something's wrong. It's like, you can't don't say that. Don't say that. You're not allowed to say, and I don't need to say it on social media, but I want to be able to say it to my kids. Like, this isn't what people are supposed to look like, and don't buy into the notion that we are. But this goes beyond just weight. It goes far beyond just weight. It's this constant, ongoing self-improvement narrative. Demi Moore already looked good. Now she's had more surgery and she's even thinner and she looks even, I guess, better in a, Barbie doll kind of way. But the point of it is that you're constantly improving yourself. And that, it's held it up as like, what's stopping you from looking like this at 63? Well, $1 million, but also I'm not crazy. Right. And yet we are
$1 million. Also, I'm not insane.
Right.
So those are 2 things that are stopping me. Do you remember? I think it was probably 15 years back now. It was a woman posing in like a bra top and shorts with 3 little kids under 5, I think. Age 4.5, age 2.5, age 8 months, let's say. The kids were labeled. And then the Chiron, or the words were like, what's your excuse? That was sort of the idea.
Right.
My excuse is genetics. My excuse is lack of interest in working out 16 times a week. The idea that you need an excuse to not look like 0.01% of the population looks is absurd.
But there is this, I'm quoting Meredith Jones, who wrote a really interesting book called Skin Tight. She talks about what we have as a cultural expectation of continuous transformation. The most interesting part of that book to me was she talked about that the new ideal is what she calls stretched middle age, which is like Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner looks like you can't tell how old she is. She might be 32 or 70, like women who avail themselves of these huge projects of looking younger, which include surgery, which include insane weight loss, right? And just thinking about this all the time. They get to a point where you can't tell how old they are. They don't look young exactly. They don't look old. They look like you can't tell how old they are. And that's what we're sort of supposed to aim for now.
Well, and I think it's capitalism all along, baby. Like, it's also that someone will sell you 48 pounds of hair to wear on top of your head. I was talking to somebody the other day about a person on television. And oh my gosh, their hair looks so gorgeous. And I said, you do realize, right, that at least 50% of that hair is sewn onto their heads.
Did they know that? This other
No,
person?
they were sort of like comparing their own hair to that person's hair.
Mindy Kaling did like a huge feminist act when she explained in an interview a couple years ago, like, don't feel bad about what your hair looks like compared to these people. Their hair doesn't look like that either. It's all fake hair. And for most people who have never been on a TV or movie set, they have no idea that like Kyle Richards has the hair of a healthy 5-year-old because it's fake. It's fake. And here we are feeling bad about it and comparing ourselves to something that we could buy, but we're not allowed to acknowledge that it's fake, right? We're only allowed to say how beautiful it is and then feel bad that we don't look like it, is what I'm getting at.
Right. And I think that this kind of toxic embracing, as you were talking about, of, well, we don't comment on women's bodies. I get it. But at the same time, if you're telling me that weighing 90 pounds at the age of 65 while having 47 tons of hair and no wrinkles is something to aspire to, I have some notes on that. I have some pushback.
And it's easy to be like, screw that. And it's not as easy to really, we're going to get into this. Like, this goes deep for all of us.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing to say you're resisting it, and then it's another thing to resist it on a daily basis. So Jaroslav Baranski, he's a Polish psychologist who actually has done a lot of research in this. We'll be talking about him. He talks about the pictoriality of culture. He says that we are constantly confronting our own body image with bodies of other people, bodies from the media. And he calls that a normative area. If being 90 pounds at 65 years old with lots of fake hair that we're not supposed to acknowledge as fake becomes the normative area for what people can or are supposed to look like, then all of a sudden we are managing our own image of our body against that. The pain is in the gap, right? And so we turn to things to try to address that gap. And he says one of those methods is rejuvenation, an intensive practice of disciplining the body, medical and pharmacologically, adorning the body and strengthening it so as to keep it young, healthy, efficient, and sexually attractive. That becomes a project. And the Meredith Jones would be like, right, and the project is the point, and the eternal project is the point, and never stop maximizing.
Right. And there is some biological imperative stuff going on here, right? After the age of fertility, women's attractiveness goes down, and men generally seek younger and younger partners. Like, there is a biological imperative there that I should find a partner with whom I can procreate.
Even if you're not thinking that.
Oh, no. I'm saying like deep biological lizard brain stuff.
It's pheromones, It's like you're getting catcalled on the street and then one day you're not, right? Because the male gaze is drawn towards fertility.
There you go. You're out of the male gaze. And the idea is that you can change that by cutting pieces of your face off or starving to death.
Right. And what's stopping you?
I mean, how long do you have? So many things are stopping me.
Well, this is where it gets slippery, I think, because you move from like, okay, not all of us can be Kris Jenner, but all of us can age gracefully. The point, Margaret, is for you to age gracefully.
What if I just age regularly?
Right. And what aging gracefully even means, there are people who say it means getting plastic surgery, and there are people who say it means definitely not getting plastic surgery. It depends on who you're asking.
Aging gracefully is she looks like a monster. What did she do to her face? To every celebrity over the age of 50.
Right.
Or look at how Jennifer Aniston is aging gracefully, which I have no idea what Jennifer Aniston is doing, but it involves money that I do not possess.
Right.
And also an interest that I don't possess.
I think that's what it is. I think when People Magazine says aging gracefully, what they mean is a lot of work going on that I don't have to confront, right? The duck is paddling successfully, smoothly across the pond, and I can't tell there's stuff going on beneath the surface.
Right. And also it's so deranged that many older female celebrities sell beauty products that are predicated on like, this cream will make you look like me. And I just want to say, you're missing a pretty big step of what also makes you look that way.
Too late now.
I'm all about a good moisturizer, people, but you're not one moisturizer away from having 7 facelifts. That look.
Kate Mann is a sociologist. We've talked about her on the show before. She has a great Substack. She says aging gracefully often means looking as young as possible for as long as possible, and that it is a trap dictated by a culture that devalues older women.
Yeah. Hashtag agree, Kate. You've got it.
And then Google AI. This is interesting. I put aging gracefully, what does it mean, into Google, and I try to avoid when I can just, looking at what AI says and actually going to the sources of people who have researched such things. But what was interesting is that Google AI said, which is, collecting, it's doing some sort of oversight of everything that's been said about it and putting it into its LLM. It says that aging gracefully means exercising and getting enough sleep and looking good and having a positive mindset.
Don't lie to me, Google AI. You're full of lies.
Yeah. Like, be super blissful while you're not bothering me by looking like you've had children or are over 40 years old, because I don't want to look at that with my eyes.
So I have so many thoughts on this, Amy. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. So I think especially I spent my late 30s and early 40s in Los Angeles. There's an old joke that the best looking boy and girl from every high school moved to Los Angeles to become famous because they're gorgeous. Like everywhere you go, the people really are good looking. The guy who just checked my carburetor is Brad Pitt. It's just a world of very good looking people. And I found that for my friends who had been on the hood of the car in a bikini kind of models or beautiful, that 40-year-old line was so frightening and shocking. There is, I think, some parallel between how much your appearance defined your life as a person under 40 that makes post 40 feel like an absolute nether region of doom.
Right. If aging is morally neutral, certainly unavoidable, and we're trying to say like it isn't something you should feel bad about, it is inescapable, so is this feeling that I need to look younger and look good because society does value it. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're not a bad person for like, geez, I wish I didn't look my age, because society devalues women who look their age after a certain age. And so I wish that wasn't the case, but you're not a bad person for wishing that you looked a little younger or a little thinner. Like, you were being sold that all day, every day. It's true. Like you were saying before, it's a biological imperative that youth is valued, and more in women than in men. Aging gracefully is not something we ask of men.
I remember as a teenager kind of railing against, is plastic surgery the craziest thing you've ever heard of? Like the idea that you hate your face so much you would want someone to cut into it. Very 16-year-old. Who would do that? And my mother said, I have had clients who maybe got divorced or maybe just were having a hard time in life, and they got a facelift, and it made them feel much, much better about themselves. It's not fair to just be like, losers get plastic surgery, winners don't care what people think of them. Everyone cares what people think of them. I was somewhere at a kind of a crowded party, and I was feeling myself, and I was thinking I looked kind of good. And this woman from across the party was like, hey, I had no idea you were pregnant. I was like, lady, I'm in my late 40s. I'm not pregnant. Like, I cried on the way home. I was upset. You know, I don't want to be perceived as looking fat, which is basically what that was. But at the same time, I don't want to obsess about my weight.
Right.
And I want to eat a normal amount of food and go to the gym sometimes.
Right.
But you have to kind of be able to hold both of these ideas. Demi Moore has been like one of the most beautiful women in the world since she was 16 years old.
Right. She'll hold on to it at any cost.
At any cost.
So it isn't our fault that we feel this way. Of course, like, you'd feel bad if somebody says that. And Sarah Miller, she wrote an article called Desperate for Botox in the New Yorker. I'll link to it in the show notes. And she says that the worst moment is the moment when I kind of forget that my face doesn't look the way it used to. And I see myself in a mirror by accident or in a photo. And I think that can't really be me. You know, I thought this was an original joke, and I put it in my book. When did I get like this? That came out 15 years ago, about how funny it was to catch sight of myself in the mirror and be like, who the hell is that? That's a universal thing. And it's actually, you're not a bad person for feeling that. There's like a psychological reason for that.
My husband has gotten used to me holding up pictures and being like, does this look like me?
Yeah.
Is this what I look like?
Right. Every picture of me is bad all of a sudden.
I don't know what's going on, you know?
Felt.
But I think I have never looked at a picture of you and been like, Amy looks old and ugly in that picture.
Well, that's what's so depressing. Yeah, because your husband's like, no, that's a good picture of you. And like, it is? That's a good picture of me? That's me in a good day? Holy cow. I didn't realize, but the way I feel inside is not how I look outside.
Yeah, but when I look at you, you look beautiful and young. It's not like I'm like, oh no, you look bad. You know?
It's definitely going on in our own head.
I think this is very hard, but it's work I've really tried to do. I remember talking to someone just obsessively talking about their neck, which is basically the very first thing to show your age. You know, your face, you've been moisturizing, you're doing all the stuff, but your neck just looks wrinkly. I remember having this conversation with a relative of mine. I just have to do something with my neck, and going on and on. This person was at the time probably in their 70s. And I really thought to myself, I've never thought about that. You're so beautiful and stylish and cool. The last thing I have ever thought about is your neck. But now I'm spending a lot of time thinking about my neck.
There's a reason for that.
Okay, hit me.
It's called the mask of aging. There are two psychologists, male, Mike Featherstone and Mike Hepworth, wrote a paper in 1999.
Okay, dudes, I'll listen, but with a gimlet eye.
They are talking about everybody. They're talking about humanity, not just women, although I think it pertains particularly, as we were just discussing. They say the mask of aging represents the experience as you age in which someone cannot reconcile their inner youthful self with their aging external body. So on the inside, you feel young. You also have the wisdom that you've gained with age. You feel like you did when you were 25, but you also feel better than you did when you were 25 because now I know a few things, right? Now I wouldn't put up with the stuff I put up with when I was 25. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel inside. It's great. Great self-image. And then you look in a mirror, you catch yourself in a mirror, that moment we were talking about before, and there's a mismatch that is really disorienting and difficult to accept because there's this mismatch, this incongruence, as I say.
I think that's also everybody all the time. One of my kids just said to me recently, why do I sound so normal in my head? And then on a recording, I sound like a crazy squirrel. And I said, everybody has that experience. But I think the first time you have that experience, you think this is something to be fixed, right? I've got to find a vocal training doctor and make my voice sound like it sounds in my head. Any external view of yourself, I think, feels cringy to some degree.
It does, but then this mask of aging thing, the problem with it is it gets more and more pronounced with each passing year because the divide between who we feel like we are inside and who we are in the mirror gets more and more pronounced. And so they explain that this starts to feel like your body is actually a mask that is hiding who you really are. This can't be me with the body that bore 3 children and looks different. I have a scar 25 years ago. You couldn't see it. It was a surgical scar and you couldn't see it. Like, wow, what a good job they did covering it up. But now 25 years later, you can see that scar because 25 years of aging is causing the skin to sort of, puddle around it in an interesting way. And I look at that scar and I'm like, I feel a little bad about myself every time I look at it. It's like, why are you there when you weren't there before? It is completely unavoidable. And yet, like, you're reminding me that I'm aged and I don't want to look at it. Anyway, that disorientation starts and you start to feel like, they argue, you start to feel like your aging body is the mask and it's hiding who you really are inside. And so you have to fix it so people can see who you really are.
That's a really interesting point. It's not just I'm so shallow that I want to look beautiful. It's like I feel beautiful and I want everybody else to see me the way I see myself. Like it's not self-hatred, which is interesting.
Right. If I could just fix this disconnect, then people would say, yeah, it's unveiling who you really are by like achieving the impossible and rolling back the clock.
I remember someone I knew a long time ago came by, very excited. Do you notice? Do you notice? And they had an eye lift. I didn't notice. It was completely impossible for me to register.
This is a little strange to me because, like, shouldn't you not notice? Isn't that the point of a good procedure is to have it, you look good, but I can't tell?
I guess. And I mean, with love, I would not have been like, you know what you need? An eye lift. If I had to give you some advice, I would have hit 47 things before I got to eye lift. We have been since our youngest days sold a bill of goods on what we're supposed to look like, what we're supposed to be doing with our faces and bodies.
And it starts younger. As I was researching this, I came upon a Reddit post of a woman who said she was approaching 30, her words, asking
Goldilocks
how to age gracefully. She said, I notice already that my metabolism isn't the same. And what else can I be doing now in order to age gracefully? And people rushed to the comments to tell her sunscreen, this, that, lift weights, whatever, all of that. But it's in what world is somebody who isn't 30 yet already worrying about aging gracefully? A sexist world, I guess. But it's just depressing, right? When you think of the time that I spent worrying about looking my age or looking younger than my age. I was an actor. So as you were saying, that goes with it. An actor's actual age is a closely guarded secret. And if you look younger than your age, you'll work more, but only if people don't know how old you are. Because once they know how old you are, it doesn't matter that you look 10 years younger, but now they know. I fought that for so long. And so maybe I had a particularly intense version of that, but worrying when you're 35 about aging gracefully, I'm seeing these fine lines, like all that stuff. I just find it so, now that I'm well beyond that age, I find it so, so sad.
It's sad, but also 65-year-old women are sad for us that we're having this conversation. The hits keep coming.
That's right.
All right, we'll be right back.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
And now, some metrics you can actually use.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
You put 16 things you absolutely did not need in your cart at Target, but then you came to your senses and took out 6 of them. I'm going to give you a hearty thumbs up, Mama. That pint of ice cream, you ate it right out of the container while standing in front of the open fridge. It's not like you put it in a bowl and actually enjoyed it, so let's not count it.
You watched Netflix when you should have been getting some much needed rest. On the one hand, a mistake. On the other hand, some hard-earned me time. Let's put this up as a tie and just move on.
You were 15 minutes late to pick up, unlike your own mom who forgot to come at all. Twice. That's a little thing we call improvement. High five.
Good news. That person giving you unsolicited parenting advice, they have never spent any time around actual children. You are allowed to completely ignore them.
This has been some metrics you can actually use.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast. I heard someone say this a long time ago. Think of how many words there are for problematic areas of women's bodies. Pooch, muffin top, bat wings, all of these terms.
Yeah.
And they're terms because they're universal. Most people at a certain age have some flesh that hangs down from the back of their arms, which is a bat wing.
Oh, I thought it was the thing when from the back. I thought you were going to say those are the bat wings where you have like a little bit of back fat that you didn't have before.
So those are love handles or a muffin top.
Yeah.
Either one would be fine. No, your bat wings are like the stuff that, moves on your arm.
I didn't know what to call them, but sure, I know about those.
But it's like, okay, first of all, it's completely demonized, but we all know what it means because everybody has this thing too.
Because we have it. Right.
For me, as I've been thinking about this at my age, I have a couple of young people in my life who, whenever I take a picture of them, they inspect it and say, that's a terrible picture of me.
As you said, this is universal. Like, that's what I look like?
They're hearing their voice on the tape recorder.
Right.
And their images are closely guarded. Don't ever post that. Don't ever show anyone that. That's not a good picture of me. Whenever a young person says that, look at it again in 10 years. I mean, I look back at pictures of myself in my 20s when I was like, oh, I really need to lose weight. And I'm like, okay, total knockout. Like, look at you. You looked amazing.
So there's this new thing called looksmaxxing. Because we've been saying the whole time that this is something women have to put up with, and they do. But, looksmaxxing is now like 20-something men. They're maximizing their looks. That's what it means. You take steroids and you have plastic surgery, and there's a procedure where you use like a little hammer to like break your jaw, but just a little bit so it grows back. Like
babies. No.
And 20-somethings are doing this. And I have teenage boys in my life who are talking about the distance between their eyes and their nose needing to be at a certain thing.
What's that thing called?
The interpupillary distance is the space between the eyes, which now our children, including our sons, are being forced on, like, you have to have this mid-face ratio, your eyebrows to the center of your nose.
I believe it's called golden face ratio, which is where they've done the measurements. It's a mathematical proportion often associated with perceived facial beauty. And it's 1.681 to 1. That's the mathematical formula for beauty now.
And now boys are talking about this and thinking they need to try to accomplish this and feel bad about themselves, which I think is terrible. But maybe the only good thing about this is these people who are looksmaxxers, they look insane, but they also are not hiding. It isn't like maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
They're showing their work.
They're showing their work. Right. Like, I don't talk to women. Who has time to talk to women when you have to like repeatedly hit your jaw with a hammer to look this good and never remove the tongue from the roof of your mouth so that, you get this. It's insane. And maybe the like showing the work and the work is the point will get us to this sort of Hunger Games capital city extreme that'll be easier to reject. Are we already there?
I think we're getting definitely close. Like, I constantly see stuff on TikTok about what if blah, blah, blah had the golden ratio, and it somebody like photoshopping like their eyes up a half an inch, and everybody kind of looks like Angelina Jolie, I think, has the golden ratio, but kind of also like a weird Bratz doll. We were recently on vacation and we went to this very, very wealthy area where a bunch of richy riches parked their yachts. I definitely noticed that all of the women had the same face. It's not quite a human face. It's kind of a Bratz adjacent face. The lips are very big. The eyes are very wide. And I thought, wow, this does feel a little Hunger Gamesy. First of all, my son said, yeah, it's a lot of like dads and their daughters down on the boats. I was like, yeah, that's not dads and daughters, hon. That's rich dudes and their Instagram girlfriends. I think this generation, we'll see how universal it is, but I know that if I was at a gathering of women in my family growing up, it would be like, this food is delicious. How horrible. I'm fat. That circular conversation of, oh my God, I'm not going to eat again till Friday. It was a constant commenting on what people were eating my diet starts tomorrow, you know? I do think that we've kind of come a little bit around on that in terms of, wait, we're not going to do that to kids anymore. And believe me, it doesn't mean that body acceptance is real. I mean, having a kid with a larger size body, they're going to get comments. There's a lot going on there. I'm not saying like, nailed it, we fixed it.
No. And now in the days of GLP-1s, there's a new there's an easy fix, right? There's an easy medical fix. Why would you be in a larger body?
Right. Why would you ever choose this?
Right.
And also, you can fix it. Whatever it is, like capitalism is here. You can fix it. I think you can make all sorts of different choices. I just think you need to know why you're making the choice, honestly.
So if it's unavoidable, right, that you do kind of look at yourself and you evaluate yourself and like the self that you feel is and the self that you are, and we're constantly surrounded by these invitations to improve ourselves and look like Taylor Swift or Demi Moore, whoever it is. Kate Mann talks about something called body reflexivity. She's taking a step back. Instead of don't let that stuff bother you, reject the idea that we should be evaluating our bodies at all.
Oh, I mean, 100% agree.
Right?
And I think the flip side of that is reject the idea that we should be evaluating other people's bodies, and also really reject the idea that we should be evaluating our own bodies.
Yeah.
That's the thing of like, oh my God, all I think about is how bad my neck looks. I know that you do not look at me and be like, God, Margaret's so great, but it's a shame about that neck. Like, I know that, but that takes some work. You actually do have to work at this. I now wear probably 3 sizes larger than I wore at the time where I was slimmest.
At the time where your insides and your outsides matched in your psyche.
Yeah, like
right?
When I weighed the least, whatever it is.
Right.
I spent a couple of years after having my third kid being like, I got to get back into those jeans. And then at some point I was like, I don't need to get back into those jeans. Food is such a source of joy in my life. Now, eating 1,000 Skittles until I feel like I'm going to throw up is not a source of joy in my life, but enjoying a wonderful meal with my husband and then both of us cuddling on the couch and rubbing our giant bellies afterwards is heaven. I don't need to fix it. It's not broken.
If you decide not to eat Skittles, it's because you want to feel better in your body, and then not worrying about what that body looks like is also a way of feeling better in your body. Those are both practices that you can have, but you're not doing one in order to punish yourself and to rolling back the clock and not looking like who you are, right? Like your body's a vehicle. It's not a calling card, for the person you used to be 20 years ago.
Yeah. And I do think that this is, I don't know how to say this, but I'm just going to say it. I feel like I was a person who was medium to high medium attractive for some part of my life. And now I feel like a person who's like medium to low medium attractive in my, late midlife. I didn't have a stunning fall from grace. You know what I mean? I was never getting by on my looks. But I do know people who spent 20 years, you mentioned Taylor Swift, like it is going to be hard for her when she starts looking older and every single magazine is being like, it's done. She's ugly now. It's easier for me to say than some, I would say, in this.
Right. But we're all feeling these attitudes that are visited on us that like, what's stopping you? What's stopping you from looking like Jennifer Aniston? As we said, a lot of things. But what I'm trying to say is you can feel like that's nonsense and I'm rejecting that, and then still feel like a little bad about yourself. And that is human. And I think the way we get at it is by talking about like, gee, this is unfair, or gee, this is hard, rather than, I don't know what, keep doing what we're doing.
And the way we talk in front of our kids, I do think one of the revelations of my life was realizing what a circle it is. If I was moving through my life being like, oh, look at Amy, her hair looks weird. Okay, let's look at Jane. Oh, put on a few pounds. Like I was kind of wired that way from my own childhood. The flip side of that is worrying a lot about what you think. Like you got to cut out the part where you're judging what everyone else looks like.
The more you evaluate, the more you self-evaluate.
It's so true. Like the more you judge other people, the more your story tells yourself everyone's judging me. So I think that to the degree that you can cut this out for yourself, stop evaluating other people, realize old comes for us all. Someday there will be a picture in a tabloid that's like, look at dumb old Demi Moore. She looks horrible now.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. Like, you cannot fight what's coming. Listen, we all do it. I love the Pam Anderson no makeup thing. My first honest reaction to it was, that's really sad. She looks really old.
Yeah.
And I had to check myself and be like, whoa, this is deep hardwired. That Pam Anderson should look, I think she's in her 50s, that she should look like a woman in her 50s was sad to me. Mm-hmm. And I had to check myself. I would have never said it out loud in front of my kids, but even just checking it for yourself.
Well, it's almost like she was tricking us. Like, underneath all that makeup and fake hair, that's what she looked like. The mask that we were talking about before, like, we're being faced with our own, the distance between the ideal that we thought she was and the very normal person she actually is, with a golden ratio and the right waist size and whatever. She's certainly got genetic gifts that were dramatically enhanced. And as women, we all know that to be true. We all know what like a good glam squad can do.
Let me tell you, we don't have a lot of young singles listening, but here was always my rule. Second date, no makeup.
Oh.
Second date, no makeup. First date, you reel them in with the hair and makeup. Second date, let's go on a hike. This is what I actually look like. And this is what you're getting most of the time. Let's reset the baseline. Second date, no makeup, people.
Love it. I mean, that's easier to do when you're 25, but please, if you are listening to this, you're not aging gracefully. None of us have to age gracefully.
It's fine.
We do have to age. We don't have to age gracefully. It can just sort of happen and we can not worry about it.
Yeah, let's please not worry about it. And let's not look at people having serious health problems on TV and be like, if only we could be more like them.
If only. That's right. We asked our listeners who listen on Spotify to comment on our last episode, and they really did. Like, they came out of the woodwork. We're glad you're listening on Spotify. Listen wherever you want, but Spotify's fun because you can comment on the episode. So if you're listening on Spotify, leave us a comment. Tell us what your response to this is. If you're not on Spotify listening right now, you can also go on Spotify and leave us a comment, or go to our Facebook page or Instagram page. Email us. Let us know what you think of the episode. We love hearing from our listeners and love hearing what else you want to talk about.
Send us a carrier pigeon, for God's sake. Let's go old school. Telegram, Western Union, singing Telegram. Just get in touch, for God's sakes. And with that, thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's Omni-Shade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.